Welcome back to Cinema Recaps. Today I will introduce you to a comedy film released in 2021 titled Queen Pins. Warning, spoilers ahead, so be careful and pay attention. In Phoenix, Arizona, housewife Connie is arrested in the middle of the night at her own home, surrendering without resistance. She recalls how it all started a few months ago. Connie was once an Olympic race walker, winning 3 gold medals, but this hasn't made her wealthy or famous in today's world. She lives with her husband Rick, an IRS auditor, with whom she has a very tense relationship because they were unable to have children. They spent a lot of money on treatments, but sadly when Connie finally got pregnant, she lost the baby. That's when Rick decided to take a traveling position at work, so he could be away for 3 weeks each month. When he's home, he doesn't treat Connie well, constantly reminding her that she's unemployed and that they lost a lot of money because she wanted to try multiple treatments while he was ready to give up after the first one. He also scolds her for spending too much money on her coupon obsession. And indeed, Connie is truly obsessed with coupons. She hoards them and then buys items in large quantities, filling up the nursery to mask the pain of losing her child. The good thing about Rick not being home much is that Connie has the chance to befriend her neighbor Jojo, who has a YouTube channel about saving tips and is also obsessed with coupons. Jojo lives with her mother, Josie, and struggles to find work because not long ago, her identity was stolen. In her free time, she flirts with the mailman named Earl and sells cosmetics door to door, but this isn't going well either. Whenever Connie goes to the supermarket, she hands cashier Greg dozens of coupons for each shopping trip, which holds up the line but also reduces her bill from over $100 to just $16. Connie always likes to say that if you watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. One afternoon, while putting away groceries on the shelves, she feels sad seeing the baby wallpaper among the boxes, so she decides to binge on a bunch of cereal as if it could heal her sorrow. The cereal turns out to be stale, so Connie channels all her anger into sending a complaint email to the cereal company. A few days later, Connie receives a coupon for free cereal in the mail, along with a letter from the company apologizing for the stale product. When she goes to the supermarket to redeem it, with a smug attitude, Greg explains that she's not special. All companies will send free coupons to people who complain. This inspires Connie to write a series of letters to various manufacturers, even when there's nothing wrong with the products, and she receives a bunch of free coupons. Connie shows these coupons to Jojo, who is amazed by this strategy and even offers to buy a coupon from Connie, as it's still cheaper than the actual product price. This offer makes Connie realize that selling the things she got for free would give her a 100% profit, and it would make for a great business idea. After searching online, she discovers that coupons are made in Mexico, not far from where she lives, so they could go and steal a large quantity to resell. Initially, Jojo is skeptical, but since she's drowning in debt, she agrees to help. Meanwhile, in Nevada, loss prevention officer Ken is doing his job at a local supermarket. When a cashier has trouble with a coupon, Ken checks it out and quickly realizes it's fake. The manager asks if they can accept the coupon, since the elderly woman has been a loyal customer for years, but Ken refuses because rules are rules. Ken's poor manners earn him a scolding from the old lady. A similar situation occurs when he boards a plane to go home. A mother asks him to switch seats with her daughter so the girl can watch the landing and feel less scared. But Ken refuses outright, saying it's an important lesson for the child. When he finally returns to his lonely apartment in Utah, Ken yells at the TV in frustration. The next day in Mexico, Connie and Jojo arrive at the coupon factory and observe the employees and their shifts. They decide to approach Alejandro and Rosa, a couple who have broken the rules but don't seem dangerous. The couple thinks they are about to be robbed when they see Connie and Jojo following them by car, but after the women clarify that they're there for help, they are welcomed at Alejandro's house for a chat. Rosa is pregnant, and their wages are very low, so Connie and Jojo easily make an offer. If the couple steals coupons for them, they'll resell them in the US and share the profits. Alejandro isn't sure it's a good idea, but Rosa persuades him to do it for the sake of their child's future. Planning isn't too difficult. The factory is divided into 2 sections: printing, where Alejandro works, and coupon processing, where Rosa works. Each side typically doesn't know what the other does, and with each coupon printed, there are always extras expected to be destroyed, but Alejandro can send these extras to Connie and Jojo. When their trucks distribute across the US, there will be no problems at the border because they'll only see a box of coupons, not illegal activity. A few days later, the two of them receive their first box of coupons. They created a simple website to sell the coupons and promoted it on Connie's channel. The business quickly became successful, bringing in a lot of money, but the supermarket soon noticed too. Ken received dozens of letters and phone calls from store managers complaining about the money they were losing. So Ken began a thorough investigation until he found the credit card number behind one of the purchases made with these coupons. After 11 days of work, Ken visited the housewife who used the coupon and discovered the coupon-selling website promoted by a black woman on YouTube. When Ken returned to the office and opened the website, he saw the motto, "If you watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves." Back to the duo, they were disappointed to find their PayPal account had been frozen because they received too much money in a short time. To unfreeze the account, they needed to prove they were running a legitimate business, but they didn't know how to do this properly. In desperation, they decided to contact Tina, a well-known hacker on the dark web. Tina scolded them for promoting this too openly, as it could easily be traced back to them. After deleting Jojo's videos, Tina explained that they needed a front for their business to launder the money. They would receive a series of fake IDs, bank accounts, and a location to work from. Additionally, they would have to wait 6 months before spending the money so that all connections to their real names would have time to disappear. After agreeing, Tina would take a 10% commission. She gave them a specially encrypted USB stick to store important files. Thanks to Tina's quick thinking, there were no longer any clues on the internet for Ken to follow. Ken approached the FBI and was told they would look into it, but they actually found the issue with coupons laughable, so they handed the case over to Albert, the least busy agent. Albert took on the case, using Jojo's cosmetics brand as a front. With Tina's fake IDs, the coupon scam once again became a profitable business. Meanwhile, Ken left messages for the FBI every day. 6 months later, the duo was ready to spend the money, but they remembered Tina's warning that it was dirty money, so they needed to launder it first. Recalling a story Rick told about a client, Connie decided they needed to buy expensive items to resell later, and the money from those sales would be considered legitimate. After convincing the banks to let them withdraw cash for hiring staff for their cosmetics business, they began their plan. Connie and Jojo went on an extravagant shopping spree. They bought sports cars, boats, a private plane, and even guns. Afterward, they took a trip to Las Vegas where they discussed future plans. Jojo would pay off her mother's mortgage, and Connie wanted to try fertility treatments once more. Meanwhile, Ken finally received the long-awaited call from the FBI. Albert informed him that he couldn't do anything online because an expert had erased all cookie trails, but since the coupons were being sent through regular mail, he would send someone who could actually help. 2 days later, Ken met Simon, a postal inspector. Simon accepted the case and asked Ken to order some coupons from the website so they could thoroughly examine the system. When the envelope arrived a few days later, Simon quickly noticed that it was marked as coming from Kansas, but was actually from Arizona, thanks to special numbers on the online stamp. He would be flying to Phoenix soon and agreed to take Ken along since Ken was familiar with all the supermarkets in the area. Back to Connie, she scheduled an appointment at the fertility clinic and took Jojo along for support, as she hadn't told Rick about this. The doctor informed her that this was her last chance, so Connie decided to use a donor's sperm instead of her husband's. That evening, Tina contacted them again to ask where the money had gone, and she was furious when she heard their reasoning because they had misunderstood the issue. By using Jojo's cosmetics brand, they had already successfully laundered the money. Now they had to sell everything they had bought as soon as possible and put the money back in the bank in small amounts each day. When Rick returned from his latest business trip, he noticed the new TV Connie had bought, so she told him she'd gotten a sales job and no longer used coupons. This made Rick very pleased, and he called her his new wife, which made Connie even more determined to continue the fertility treatment with the donor's sperm. Meanwhile, Ken and Simon are interrogating all the cashiers in the area, asking about any customers who might be obsessed with coupons. When they meet Greg, they find the information they need. Greg doesn't know Connie's name, but he provides a description of her and mentions the 2 pennies motto, which Ken remembers seeing on the website. The next day, they go to the local post office to see if any employees know of a blonde woman who uses coupons excessively. No one remembers Connie, but when they hear the word coupons, they point to Earl, as he's always watching Jojo's saving tips on YouTube. Back to the duo. Selling all their stuff on eBay has become too difficult because there's so much of it. When they stop by a cafe for a drink, they meet 2 men from a gun club, so they get the club's address and visit it later with all their weapons for sale. Jojo makes an impressive sales pitch, but the club leader still refuses to buy. So the duo agrees to give them a discount if they buy everything, and the deal is sealed. Ken and Simon interrogate Earl privately, but he refuses to provide any information. After being released, Earl goes to Jojo's house and leaves her a note in an envelope, disguised as regular mail among the bills, which Josie takes without understanding its importance. What Earl doesn't know is that Ken and Simon have followed him there, and now they plan to keep surveillance outside the house for as long as needed. As night falls, Jojo returns home, and the two men realize she is the black woman the housewife had seen on the YouTube video. When Jojo gets out of the car and starts dancing in the driveway to celebrate the amazing deal she made earlier, they continue watching. The next morning, Jojo is distracted by an argument with Josie and doesn't pay attention to the mail, so she drives to the stash house as usual. Ken and Simon follow her there and see Connie, realizing that she is the blonde woman Greg described. Simon gathers other postal inspectors to officially launch the investigation, and now they have enough details, making it easy to identify Connie and Jojo, especially after showing Greg a photo and getting his confirmation. That night, Jojo can't sleep, and after checking on her mother, she goes to the kitchen for a snack. That's when she finally finds Earl's note advising her to leave town, but it's already too late. Simon arrives with his team and arrests Connie, Jojo, and Josie after raiding their homes and the stash house. The arrest appears on the news, and Earl is surprised to see Jojo's face on TV. As the interrogations begin, Rick and Josie quickly affirm they had no involvement and are willing to cooperate with the authorities. Jojo tries to play innocent and pretends she doesn't know what they're talking about, but they have found her videos on her computer. Meanwhile, Connie admits her crime but is shocked to hear that they could face 40 years or more in prison for fraud. If she takes full responsibility for starting it all, they will go easier on Jojo, so Connie accepts the deal. Jojo is released on bail. She thinks Josie paid for it, but it was actually Earl, who is waiting for her outside with a bouquet of flowers. Unfortunately, Connie isn't as lucky. Rick only visits her to scold her and refuses to pay the bail. So, Connie asks for a divorce. The investigation continues and the inspectors trace the coupons back to Alejandro and Rosa, but by the time they discover this, the couple has already disappeared. Since the trail has gone cold, the Mexican government won't pursue them. Connie hired a rather expensive lawyer, and it proved to be the right decision. On the day of the trial, the lawyer convinced everyone that Connie and Jojo were merely taking advantage of a legal loophole, just as large corporations often do. This tactic was successful, and Jojo received a sentence of 10 days in jail and 1 year of probation, while Connie was sentenced to 11 months in jail with the possibility of parole. Simon and Ken were not satisfied with this outcome and demanded answers from the state attorney, who explained that the judge had gone easy on the two women because the brands on the coupons requested leniency to avoid bad publicity for large corporations. The $80 million that the scam cost them was just pocket change. Now that the case was over, Simon had to leave, but before doing so he told Ken that he was a good man and that he was glad to have worked with him. But he also advised Ken to tone down his attitude a bit. As time passed, everyone's lives changed. Ken began to be a little kinder, making exceptions for old clients with fake coupons and finally gathering the courage to create a profile on a dating app. Connie got the divorce she wanted and her fertility treatment was successful, so she spent her months in prison with a big pregnant belly. The authorities seized most of the money from the scam, but fortunately they overlooked the boxes in the nursery, thinking it was just food. So Jojo managed to save those boxes, knowing that Connie had been hiding cash in them all along. After pairing up with Earl, he and Jojo moved to Montenegro, a country without an extradition treaty, to start a new scam under a different cosmetics brand, waiting for Connie to join them once she's freed so they can work together again. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching.